Good evening and welcome to this week's comprehensive roundup of events shaping the international brass band landscape. It's been a week defined by championship triumphs, shifting world rankings, youth band initiatives and stories of extraordinary dedication within our community. We begin with the biggest headline of the week, the conclusion of the 2026 World Music Contest in Ayrshire, where the global brass band stage witnessed one of the closest finishes in its 75th year. At the Roda Hall in Ayrshire, the atmosphere reached boiling point as 10 elite bands from across the world competed for the coveted concert division title. In a dramatic photo finish, brass band Triathlons of Switzerland emerged victoriously, reclaiming a world title they last held in 2005. The margin of victory, a scarcely believable 0.04 points, the narrowest of recent contest memory. The Swiss celebrations were immediate and jubilant, replacing the gasps of disbelief that rippled through the hall moments earlier. Under the forensic musical leadership of musical director Frederick Theodolos, Triathlons delivered a performance of intense detail and interpretive clarity, inspired, according to the conductor, by Switzerland's plenty of wonderful lakes, a poetic contrast to the maritime imagery of Jean Dihon's test piece Mirage. Brass band Vilbruck, seeking a historic hat-trick, finished a razor-thin second place, while Flowers band, the reigning European Championship, secured third place after a resurgent concert programme. Corey, the Welsh powerhouse, followed in fourth. The top six was rounded out by brass band Schoenhoven and Australia Brass, with Wellington Brass, the cooperation band Immortal Brass Eternally of Japan, and the Five Lakes Silver Bass of the band of the United States, completing the global field. The contest hall itself offered respite from sweltering outdoor temperatures, but inside, the musical tension simmered at near boiling point. Performances were marked by sweeping symphonic arcs, sumptuous colour palettes, and moments of daring risk. An artistic battleground befitting the event's 75th anniversary. The latest world rankings have been released, and they bring significant movement at the top. For the first time in their history, Flowers band have reached world number one, propelled by their historic victory at the European Championships in Austria. Their ascent marks a milestone for the Gloucester-based band. Close behind, Swiss champions Valasia climbed after their runner-up finish in Linz, while Germany's 3BA makes a notable leap to 14th place. The rankings also reflect national triumphs across the globe. Brisbane Excelsior taking the Australian national title, North Shore Brass claiming the first New Zealand crown, Five Lakes regaining the North American Championships, and Drogheda capturing the Irish national title. The top 10 now stands as: in 10th place Black Dyke, in 9th Tredegar, in 8th Vilbruck, 7th Gustafordens, 6th Corey, 5th Triathlons, in 4th place Ikanga Bjojovic, in 3rd place the Brighouse and Rastrick Band, in 2nd place Valasia Brass Band, and taking the number one spot is the Flowers Band. With the British Open and lower section national finals quickly approaching in September, further dramatic shifts are definitely expected. Tickets are now on sale for the National Youth Brass Band of Scotland, the NYBBS Summer Concerts. Scheduled for the 1st of August at Perth Theatre, Over 150 young musicians will showcase the results of an intensive week of music making at the Strathallan School. Meanwhile, the NYBBGB Ambassador Ensemble has begun its school tour across Devon, performing at 15 schools throughout the week, an initiative aimed at inspiring the next generation of brass musicians. And now to England's appointments and achievements within the brass band world. The Hammonds Band has announced that Luke Broderick as its new principal cornet player, marking a significant step in the band's artistic development. In bugle, the Gust Band celebrated a victory at the 100th West of England Bandsman Festival, a landmark edition of the iconic event. At Victoria Hall, Hanley, Foran's Band organised a major community event featuring 7 bands performing individually before joining forces for a great mass band rendition of Sladeburn and, of course, not forgetting the traditional favourite, the Floral Dance, commemorating 50 years since their first recording. Grindthorpe Colour Band has announced the appointment of Lewis Battles as the brand new solo trombonist. Lewis has performed with many of the UK's leading orchestras, including the Halle, Scottish Chamber Orchestra, Scottish Opera, Royal Northern Sinfonia, and Manchester Camerata. His international performing career has included appearances at the Musikverein in Vienna with the Royal Scottish National Orchestra, and at the BBC Proms in Japan with the BBC Scottish Symphony Orchestra. He can also be heard on the soundtracks of major film and video game productions, including The Woman King, The Mother, Star Trek, Picard, and Star Wars Outlaws. Alongside his performing career, Lewis is an accomplished conductor, having worked with a number of leading brass bands and currently serving as musical director of Harlequin Brass, one of the UK's leading brass ensembles. He also works as a talent development manager at the Opera North, where he oversees the planning and delivery of the company's youth orchestra and youth choir programmes. Commenting on the appointment, Lewis said, "I'm absolutely delighted to be joining the Grindthorpe Colour Band at such an exciting time for the band as it continues to grow and strengthen. I'm especially looking forward to working with Alan Withington and Ben Dixon, two of my favourite conductors in the brass band world. I'm excited for what lies ahead." Musical director Ben Dixon commented by saying, "Lewis is a tremendous addition to the band and brings a wealth of musical experience from across the orchestral and the brass band world. He is an outstanding trombonist and his enthusiasm for the band's future was clear from the very first conversations. We're delighted to welcome him to Grindthorpe and look forward to everything he'll bring to the chair." The original trophy that was used in the climactic final scene at the 1996 hit Brastoff has been handed over by Showcase Cinema Deluxe in Leeds to Capital Promotions, and plans are now in place to exhibit it for brass band enthusiasts and film fans alike. The film starred Peter Postlethwaite, Ewan McGregor and Tara Fitzgerald, follows a Yorkshire Colliery brass band fighting for survival and ends with the band lifting the National Brass Band Championship trophy at the iconic Royal Albert Hall. While the real National Challenge trophy has been awarded at the Royal Albert Hall every year since 1945, the replica version seen on screen was especially made for the film. After filming wrapped, the replica was put on display in the lobby of Showcase Cinema Deluxe in Leeds, where it remained until 2015 before being carefully stored behind the scenes. After hearing the trophy was still at the cinema, Capitol contacted Showcase to ask whether it could be given a new home where it could once again be enjoyed by the public. Mark Wilson, manager Showcase Leeds, was delighted to hand over the trophy, which was recently collected by representatives from Capitol Promotions. Tony Morris, director, Philip Morris, managing director, and Tim Jones, director, and will now go on display at their headquarters in Penrith, South Wales. Opportunities are also being explored to exhibit it at this year's Championship Section National Final at the Royal Albert Hall on Saturday the 3rd of October. Philip Morris, Managing Director of Capitol Promotions, commented by saying, "We've always known the film trophy existed, but never imagined we'd have the opportunity to bring it back into the brass banding world. The original National Challenge Trophy is an irreplaceable part of British musical history. So to have the film replica reunited with the championships is incredibly special too. Brassdorf introduced brass banding to millions of people around the world, so this trophy represents an important part of both our history and British cinema. We're delighted it can now be enjoyed by brass band enthusiasts and film fans alike." John Dixon, UK Marketing Director at Showcase Cinemas, also commented by saying, "The Brassdorf Trophy has been part of our Leeds cinema story for many, many years. First on display in the foyer, and most recently carefully stored behind the scenes, when the National Brass Band Championships got in touch, it felt like the perfect opportunity to pass it on to an organisation that will ensure it can be enjoyed by generations of brass band fans and film lovers alike." And unfortunately, that brings us to the end of this week's roundup of all your brass band entertainment and your brass band world news. From myself, Peter Webster, here at the Sounds of the Brass Newsroom, I'd like to wish you all a very good day. Join us next week for another deep dive into the event shaping the global brass banding community.